In this video for the sections 1.1 and 1.2 activity, we're going to talk about graphing, specifically finding x-intercepts and y-intercepts for a graph. This is from section 1.1. In the next video, we will look at solving linear equations, which is from section 1.2. First, we're going to define what x-intercepts and y-intercepts are. The x-intercept is where the graph crosses the x-axis. Could be one point or there could be multiple points. The y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. And remember, the x-axis is the horizontal axis, which goes from left to right. The y-axis is the vertical axis, which goes up and down. So looking at this graph, if we want to identify the x-intercept and y-intercept, I see my x-intercept where the graph crosses the x-axis is here. And looking at the scale of the graph, I can see that that is at 1. Now we could write our x-intercept as a coordinate pair, x comma y, which would be 1 comma 0. For the homework, they're going to have you enter it as just the number where the graph crosses the x-axis. So it's going to be at 1. For the y-intercept on the y-axis, I see that the graph crosses at 3. So my y-intercept is going to be at 3. Now what you're going to do is click on this link to Desmos, and it's going to take you to a graphing calculator. It's going to have this graph. And we're going to click on the points to check our answers. So this is the same graph as the one that we have the picture of in the activity. And when you click on the x and y axis in Desmos, it's really nice because it shows the points in gray, and when you click on the points, it will show you what their coordinates are. So I can see that my y-intercept here is at 3. I can see that my x-intercept is at 0, or at 1, 0, or 1. Now we're going to look at another graph. What are the x and y-intercepts? I can see here for this graph that I have 2 x-intercepts. This one goes from 0 to 5, and each little box is worth 1. So I have an x-intercept at 2, and I also have an x-intercept over here at -2. Now this one, the second one, is a little bit funny because it doesn't exactly cross the x-axis there. It touches and turns around, and that's something that we're going to come back to a little bit later in the semester. But this is an x-intercept because it is intersecting the x-axis at that point. For my y-intercept, I can see that it's down here, and if I count the boxes, I will see that that is at -8. So that's my y-intercept. And if I click on this link, it will open up the graph, which I already have open here. And again, I can click on the points to see what the coordinates are. So we have that one at 2, 0. We have this one at 0, -8 for the y-intercept, and then my other x-intercept is at -2. So I can click on the points on my Desmos graph to check the values there. For the next question, number 6, we're going to open up a blank graphing calculator, and to graph an equation, we type it into a box on the left side. So I'll show you what that looks like here. You go to desmos.com and click on graphing down here at the bottom, or you can also select it under Math Tools. This is what the graphing calculator looks like. And I type an equation in these boxes to graph it. So let me go back to my activity here. So if we want to create a link, like I did to make these links up here, what you do is you click on the box with an arrow in the upper right corner. So this box here is how I can share my graph, and it will automatically create a link. Notice that what you can't do is I can't just go to my whatever this is called, address bar, and copy the address here because it says calculator. That's just going to take me to the generic calculator. I need to get the calculator link that has these extra letters and numbers that gives me the exact calculator screen that I have. So I can click on copy to copy this. I could also export the image if I wanted to put the actual image into my activity. So we want to create a graph with each of the following properties and paste an image or link for each graph. So the first one that we want to make is a graph with an x-intercept at -2 and a y-intercept at 4. So I want it to cross the x-axis here at -2, and I want it to cross the y-axis at 4. So thinking about what that could be, well, there's a lot of different graphs that it could be, but if I wanted to just make a line going through those 2 points, it would have a y-intercept of 4, it would have a slope of 2, so if I do y equals 2x plus 4, that will make the line that I want. And if you didn't know, you could kind of just guess and check some things. Try things out until you get the graph that you want. But here's my graph that has an x-intercept at -2 and a y-intercept at 4. Now I want to put that into my activity. So again, I could go to my Share Graph button, and notice that my little string of letters and numbers here has changed. It's not what it was before. That's because each time you make a change to the graph, it's going to generate a new code. So you would have to copy the link again if you made a change to the graph and you wanted to preserve that change. So I can copy that and I can paste it here into my document, just like so. If I wanted to put the actual image in, I will show you how to do that. I would click Export Image. You can kind of change some of these settings to get what you want for your image. And then I'm going to download that. Then I will go to my activity, and put some space in here so that I have room to paste it. Click on Insert, Pictures, Picture from File, and then I would need to find the file that I have downloaded. It's right there at the top because I have it sorted by date. Select that, and then it will paste the graph right into my activity. So there we go. That is a graph that has an x-intercept at -2 and a y-intercept at 4. And finally, we want to make a graph that has no x-intercepts. So it does not cross the x-axis. So again, there's a few different ways that you could do this. I'm going to go back to my graph here. I might think about doing a horizontal line. That would be something that doesn't cross the x-axis, or I could think about doing a parabola. Let's do a parabola. So if I want to make a parabola that does not cross the x-axis, maybe it's going to go up here, kind of down through like 4, maybe it's going to be the lowest point. So that's going to be x squared plus 4. And you can use this keypad down here to get some extra options to type into that graphing equation entering box. I can hide that once I'm done with it. So x squared plus 4 is going to move that parabola up there. Again, there's lots of different options. I'm sure you can come up with a different one if you want to post or to paste into your activity. But then I'm going to share graph. Now again, I have a different set of letters for this one. Copy it and go back to my activity and paste my link. Or if I want to insert the image, again, the way that I do that is export image, download the PNG, go back to my Word document, hit insert, pictures, picture from file, and then select the file that I want, and it is pasted in. It'll always paste in pretty large, but you can shrink it down here to a manageable size.